be Sam. Hello, Sam. You're up next.
Hey Bart, how's it going?
How's it going, Sam? Where are you playing out of?
Actually, also at Paris at the WSOP.
Okay. Another one. Paris. Is this 2-5 as well?
Yes.
So Paris 2-5, 1K cap.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're 800 effective,
All right. 800 effective. Yeah.
and it's seven-handed.
Seven-handed. So we had an earlier caller on the live stream from Slow Poker talk about this. That was one of the things that I remember. Now, I only played one session of No Limit at the series this year, and it was in Kings, so I didn't play on the floor. But I do remember in past years at the Rio that it just seemed like a lot of people would like come through. There was like a lot of turnover. People were playing in tournaments. People would just constantly come through, and it would kind of get a little bit short. But it was hard to develop a flow as opposed to like a normal game, like at a normal card room. I don't know if you felt that was the same.
Yeah, no, I agree.
People were just continuing to move in and out and in and out.
Yeah, and it was when I was there was during the day ones of the Colossus. So there was a lot of people like busting out of that, coming, playing cash,
Right.
all steamed, busting, and then leaving. So it starts with the low jack opens to 15.
So the low jack opens to 15. Okay.
And here is in the hijack with ace king of diamonds and a 3-bet to 55.
So low jack to 50. So low jack is like basically almost like under the gun, right? Almost like the second person to act. Low jack to 15. Hero in hijack with ace king of diamonds, 3-bet to 75.
55.
55 to 55. Okay. Just under 4x. Okay.
And then the small blind cold calls.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the low jack calls as well.
Low jack calls. Wow. Small blind cold calls. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So here, hijack hero 3-bets to 55 with ace king and diamond. Small blind cold calls. The original razor also calls. And now we're at like 165 or probably like 170 with the blinds, something like that. And we're away 3 ways in a 3-bet pot. Okay.
And then so the flop is ace of hearts, queen of hearts, jack of spades.
Ace of hearts, queen of hearts, jack of spades. Wow. Hero with ace king, ace queen jack. I don't really on the surface here, this doesn't look like the best flop. I mean, obviously we flop top pair, right? And it would be much, much better if it was just you and the low jack here. But it's not necessarily the best flop in the world, even if you're heads up. When the small blind cold calls, what do we think a small blind cold call to 3-bets cold ranges here? And it usually consists of kind of 2 classes of hands.
Yeah, I feel like from what I see, it's a lot of like mid-ish pairs.
Okay, that's one class, like nines, tens, jacks, maybe even queens, something like that.
And then sometimes like ace king offsuit and
ace queen.
Yeah.
Ace jack suited, ace queen, maybe some king queen suited, something like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So you don't need protection from the low parts of that, the first class of hands that are not sets, right? Like nines and tens. I mean, I know he's got a gut shot with tens, and those hands are just going to fold out anyways. And then you're like kind of mostly behind the other class. Sometimes have the same hand, right? And then you also have the low jack in there as well. So, I mean, I suppose when it gets checked to you, you could kind of make probably a small 1/3. I would not bet large here on this board. You could make a 1/3 type of bet size, maybe like 55 or 60. And then possibly if the small blind calls, maybe do a lot of like checking back on turn or see what develops. I wouldn't necessarily auto check here on the flop if it got checked to you. I could see some checking, and if I were to bet, I would probably take somewhat of a small sizing here. But you definitely have to be hyper aware that you can be behind right now.
Yeah, and I thought that kind of like, as just my plan was taking like bet fold approach kind of multiple streets, just because there's a lot of, I don't know, I thought he was maybe a little bit wider pre-flop. I guess both of them, they both kind of pretty heavy recreational.
Okay, well, if they're heavy recreational, you could see some more sort of suited broadways in here, like Jack 10 suited, things like that, King Queen and King Jack, which you can get some value from on the flop, right? Which are pairs plus gut shots.
Yeah. And then I think if we get raised, it's like ace queen, maybe.
Auto fold. Right.
Yeah, just pitch it. But yeah, so it checks to me,
Mhm.
and I bet 60.
Yeah, and the other thing too about that type of range is like if you do start to take a large sizing, you might not get the calls from like king queen. Like if you bet like 140. You know what I mean? Like if you picture you bet 140 and the small blind is next to act with a guy behind, you might start to see like the king queen fold out, the jack 10 fold out. But if you keep it like this, you get some value from those hands. So here goes 60. Okay.
And the small blind calls,
All right.
and then the low jack folds.
So small blind calls, low jack fold. So I'm going to, even if the guy is a big fish, I'm going to logically, I think we can logically deduce that he's not going to have like 8s through 10s here, right? So he probably doesn't have 8s through 10s. So it kind of like fits into that second class of hands. But in that second class, you might add some suited broadways to that second class of hands.
Yeah.
Because we had said like ace king, ace queen, king queen suited, ace jack, but he might have some of that second class in there. Queen jack suited is another one. You know, it's interesting now that he makes this call and the other guy folds. Let's say the turn's a brick, like a 3. You could just make another kind of smallish, like 1/3 bet, and then maybe take a showdown at the end in that spot. I mean, I guess you could make a case that you could get 3 streets from like ace 10, but I think there's just more stuff out there that's either not going to call a bet on the river if it goes brick than hands that you can get value from, you know? So what's the turn?
The turn is the 8 of spades.
All right, so that brings a backdoor spade draw out there. The thing to note of that too is the ace and the queen are not spades on the flop. So, you know, queen 10 of spades, king queen of spades, ace 10 of spades. So those are the hands that aren't 2-pair. So it's not a brick. I don't know if this guy's got 9-10 calling from one liner to a king on the 10 side. I mean, that would be crazy. 9-10 comes in too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I went too big, but my thinking was I wanted to take a size that would not get raised as a bluff very often by all these like mega combo draws that you just talked about.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too, actually, when I said 1/3 on turn. If you can bet here, if you do go larger, you're definitely going to take a showdown. But if you were to bet like, say, 175 to 200, I think you have to take a showdown at the end, but you're probably not going to get raised by like queen jack. And it might prevent those combo draws from like taking a semi bluff check raise, like king queen of spades, something like that might still call down. That might attack like a 1/3 sizing. So I could kind of see that, but I assume if you're going to take a larger sizing, you're going to show down at the end.
Yeah, I was planning just to check back river if we get called.
Yeah.
So I went 225.
Wow, 225. All right, so small blind checks. Hero bets 225 here. Okay.
And he like pretty quickly calls.
Call. So now we add 450 to the pot. It's 740 as we roll the river, and you guys have put in what, 285, 340. So you have like effective, there's what, 460 left, I would say. Yeah, 740, 460 left. Okay.
And so the river is the queen of diamonds.
So the final board is ace of hearts, queen of hearts, jack of spades, 8 of spades, and the river is the queen of diamonds. And I assume if he checks, you'll just check it back.
Yeah, definitely.
Although you do beat ace jack now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay.
But he does not check. He leads for 300.
Well, what has changed here is that queen 10 of spades, queen x of spades, king queen of spades is now tripped up here at the end. And if he was somehow like playing jack slow, and he was concerned, or if he was somehow playing ace queen slow. Those are boats. You are getting 3.5 to 1 here, right? You're getting 3.5 to 1 because the pot's going to be 1040 and it's 300 for you to call. So what I would be thinking about here, is he ever like blocking with an ace that he thinks is like somehow a chop now 1 out of 4.5 times? Like ace 10, would he ever do this with ace king that you chop with? I assume, so we said he had like 4. So, if he jams, it's probably a much easier fold, right?
Yeah, I thought it was really weird that he left like 150 behind.
Yeah, this one, when I'm getting kind of pot odds here, and there's only a few obviously Queen X of spades makes a lot of sense, right? But sometimes I'll call here. I mean, can you be good here, 22% of the time? And I don't know how the math works for that with a chop as well. We'd have to go to Cruncher, how that goes in. Maybe we could pull up Cruncher while we're doing this for the YouTube video. Let me pull this up here real quick. Yeah, Hero's got 25% equity against that. 25% equity against that at the end. I don't know. It's pretty close, I guess, with the couple of ace kings in there as a chop. It would probably go. What about just one ace of clubs, king of spades, ace of clubs, king of spades? One ace king is 17%. Two ace kings is 25%. And then I don't know if he ever has something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I might flick in the call. But that's the difference there. If he's got two ace kings, it's 25%. If he has one ace king, you're at 17%. And then if you can find anything else, this is giving him king, queen of spades, queen, 10 of spades. I'm not giving him any of the boats, by the way, if he ever has slow played boats. So what did you end up doing here?
I ended up calling, and he had king, jack of hearts.
Wow. So he turned king, jack of hearts into a bluff.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was kind of funny because if he raises at any point earlier in the hand, I just snap fold.
Yeah, and then if he shoves the river too, like you're getting a worse price, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like if I was going to bluff, maybe he was trying to make it look value, but I feel like if he's going to bluff, I would want to give a worse price there because I think you probably do fold there.
Yeah.
Yeah, one combo of ace king is 16 or 17%. And then but I didn't put in the slow played boats though either. So that's an interesting one. Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it.